Hey, welcome to my second live event here on using StreamYard's platform. I'm still uh, being challenged slightly with the technology, so a couple of minutes late. But hey, welcome to this event today. I'm going to be talking about gender. This 30 days of going live is all going to be about gender, and I thought probably a good idea to start off with just a little chat about what is gender, because all of those books, the things I mentioned yesterday, the End of Gender and the Madness of Crowds, those kind of books are coming out and challenging the idea that there are more than two genders. Now, you may know that I did a TEDx talk back 5 years ago now in Warwick, and I had quite a lot of comments on there. I'll be honest, one of the most common comments is there are only two genders, and usually added with a little bit of very colorful language, but it's a misunderstanding. Now, the recent book End of Gender has come out with the whole idea there are only two genders, that's it, but they're getting it wrong, because that's not gender. What they're talking about is biology, and the whole book is really about the science, saying it's all about biology. Gender isn't about biology. People are also claiming gender is not a social construct. Yes, it is. The word gender, as applied to human beings, as applies to you and I, was developed to be a social construct. It was first used back in the 1950s by a man called John Money, and I'll be talking about him quite a lot in the future. He's a man who you can love to hate. He did some positive things, but he also did some really negative things in the way in which intersex people were treated. But he was talking about gender as gender roles, and that was how the term was first used and applied. And it was picked up then by the whole second wave feminism into the 1960s and 70s. And it was looking at how are we treated by people, how are we treated by our parents, by society, by everyone around us because of our sex. And this is the issue. We've got this difference between sex and gender, which is what's confusing so many people. So we're talking about what is gender. Let's just for a minute think about sex. And if you think about forms, when you get sex M, F or M or F on it, now it nearly always says gender M or F. Is that the same thing? Is that the same question? On my workshops, I get people to go away and actually think about this and discuss it in some depth, but I haven't got time today and I haven't got the ability to do that. But here's the thing. Why did we stop saying sex M or F? It was nothing to do with the fact that we brought in gender. We're beginning to use it. This is the reason when people saw this question on a form, sex M or F, that's the answer they gave. Yes, please. And that's the problem. Everybody gets sex and gender confused. Sex is totally different to gender. Sex is about biology. It's about bodily functions. But also, and the thing everybody forgets, most of the time when we talk about sex, we're not talking about whether somebody's male or female. We're talking about getting it on. We're talking about having it. We're talking about sexual activity. And every time anything to do with sex comes up, that's what happens. Sexual activity gets in the way. It's not about male or female. It's about having it. When anybody thinks about homosexuality, the first thing they think about is how do they have sex? When people know I'm transgender, the first question I get, have you had it cut off? No, I'm not. I'm really serious. A lot of people, just people who wouldn't expect it from, oh, you're transgender. Oh, so you've been through the whole thingy? They're just too embarrassed to say, have you had your penis removed? Everybody is focused on sex. I will come back to it time and time again in these short-term seminars, and I'm dealing with it in quite a lot of detail on the workshop so that people can understand just exactly what is going. But gender is a social construction. Sorry about that. Gender is the way we are treated because of our sex, because of our perceived sex. So what happened to it? Born, people take one quick glance at our genitals, and on the basis of has a penis, doesn't have a penis, it's a boy, it's a girl. Now, from that point onwards, we start applying gendered rules to the child. All of a sudden, it's a girl, it's more delicate. No, it's not. There's nothing different in terms of physical strength. We're in a baby boy and a baby girl. They're both delicate. They both need to be cared. But for some reason, because it's a boy, we bounce it off the ceiling. If it's a girl, it's all sweet and cute. We see things differently. And we've seen this all the time. We've seen lots of experiments where people are being given a child dressed in the wrong clothes. Yeah, a baby girl dressed as a boy, everybody treats it as a boy. Give them a baby girl, dress it in boys' clothes, they'll treat it as a baby boy. Yeah. We treat a child on the basis of what we think its gender is, and therefore there's a set of gender rules, different adjectives. Now, I know there's a whole issue and battle over whether boys prefer construction and mechanical toys and girls prefer dolls. And there's a reasonable amount of evidence to suggest that girls do seem, not all girls, but a large proportion of girls seem to be more drawn to dolls, and boys seem to be more drawn to mechanical and colourful toys. Now, I don't know whether that happens from the day, because we're gendering them from, not just from day one anymore, we're gendering right from the moment a child's in the womb. We're thinking about it. You know, we've had a gender reveal party and then we're already buying pink toys or the pink room. We're gendering from the moment we know whether the child is a boy or a girl. We're applying social rules. So are there more than two genders? Yes, there are. There are lots more than two genders, because there are a lot of people like me born who don't fit with all those rules, don't feel comfortable with the fact that I was being brought up a boy, didn't feel comfortable with the way in which my future had been mapped out in terms of what I was expected to do. And a lot of people have that challenge. They're born with a body, and in somewhere inside their brain, their gender identity doesn't fit with the physical body. I'm going to look at that in the future in a little bit more detail, but I just wanted to try and get this sense of what is gender. Gender is about the way in which people, society, everyone treats us because of their understanding of whether we're male or female. So when people say, are you male or female? And I say no, now they have no idea how to treat me, because they have a set of rules for treating people who are men or who are boys. There's a set of rules for how to treat people if they're girls or female. But if I say, I'm not either, we don't have any rules for that. And that's one of the challenges we're having to deal with in this new emerging society, where increasing numbers of particularly younger people are coming out and saying, I'm not male, I'm not female, I'm a demi-boy, I'm a demi-girl, I'm not going to get too much into all that language and labels. I'm going to deal with that later. But if you really want to find out, I'm going to be dealing with that on my workshops. The first one is going to be next Wednesday. The next one is next Thursday. I was hoping to have all the details ready for that for today, but it seems that getting Eventbrite and Zoom and all those things connected up together is a little tiny bit more complicated than I thought it might be. Never mind. It's on the way. So if you're interested, I'm doing these workshops in a different way. Just one thing I did want to mention, third gender cultures. So this whole idea of being between genders, one of the things I'm going to be addressing in the workshop, one of the things I'm going to look at now is that there have been cultures like the North American Indians, the Fa'afafini in the Philippines and the Solomon Islands, in the Philippines, in the Oman, in all sorts of cultures. Even in the Bible, we talk about eunuchs. What is a eunuch? Well, everybody thinks all castrated male. No, well, if you look at the Hijra in India, who define themselves as neither male nor female, they are mostly men who have had their entire genitalia just removed. Some of them were intersex. That issue, that idea of eunuchs goes back thousands of years. And the more I look at it, the more I understand of what was going on then. It looks to me as if it's just a third gender cultures. And all across the world, across South America, North America, Africa, the Middle East, and certainly across Asia, there is strong evidence of people who are identifying as neither male nor female in all of those cultures. It's just that in Europe, Christianity was pretty brutal in the way it dealt with anybody who didn't conform to being male or female. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more later on. We've been on for 10 minutes now. I just want you to come and have a look. The workshops I'm going to be doing, I'm being fairly open with these. I don't know how much I don't know how much people will pay for a workshop online, to be perfectly honest. So I'm doing it on a donation basis. Pay what you can afford. Pay what you think it's worth. What I'm going to try to do is to help people to understand, how do you include non-binary and transgender people within the workplace? And that's about understanding what is transgender, what is non-binary, what do you do, how do you engage with people who don't fit with your normal engagement rules? What do you do when they don't use he or she as a pronoun? How do we handle all that? So we're going to be looking at all those aspects of it, and then looking at practical day-to-day challenges that might happen in the workplace and how you tackle those. How do you tackle discrimination? How do you tackle harassment? How do you avoid harassment? What do you do with pronouns? And all those things, all going to be dealt with in a really practical, simple way. It's a 1.5 to 2 hour workshop. I've said 1.5 for the main workshop, and then I'll hang around for another half an hour to discuss questions. So it's all going to be available. I'll have it online. If you've made any comments while you're here, unfortunately, for some reason, StreamYard isn't picking up comments on Facebook, and so I need to be tracking that. But I'll have a look after this is over, and I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll be looking at another aspect of the whole area of gender, picking up on. I'm going to look around the news, see if there's anything in the news, but in the main, just going to be picking up ideas so that this will just be a daily little look at some aspect of gender. Okay, nice to see you. I'm off now. I'm going to try and get this Eventbrite and Zoom all working together seamlessly. Oh, God, the things we are having to learn, all because of COVID. Now we're having to do everything online as a whole set of new rules. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow here on GenderSpeaker, on the GenderSpeaker show. Take care.